Hello, good evening from London. Good afternoon in America. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Dental Show, live in your living room, in your office, in your bedroom, wherever it is that you are. Welcome to the show this evening. As you know, I'm going to be interviewing Freedom Jacob Caesar, formerly known as Nana Kwame Bediako, formerly known as Cheddar. We're going to be speaking to him very, very shortly. He's somebody that I respect a lot. I've known him for many years, and I know his passion, I know his vision, and his love for his continent. And so we're going to be speaking to him very shortly. But I want you to make sure that if you're watching us on YouTube or Dana Network, click the subscribe button. If you're watching me on Facebook, click the follow button. I just want to say a big thank you to Vesta London Beauty for this lip gloss. Thank you, Vesta. She is launching her new product, which is going to be online. So make sure that you go online, vestalondonbeauty.com, and grab one. And then also, if you are in London and you want to send money back home, make sure that you use Tap Send. Tap Send, you can download it on your phone and just literally do it on your phone. It sends straight to the person in Ghana on their mobile money, and they can withdraw as soon as possible. All you have to do is use the dental code, and then you get £5 extra for a loved one. So make sure that you do that. I'm going to be looking out for your questions today. A lot of people have DM'd me questions. People have private messaged me on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. I've had messages from LinkedIn. You know, everybody's looking forward to this interview, and so am I. My last interview with Nana Kwame was around maybe 3 years ago, and it's actually on YouTube on the Dental Network, and we've had over 320,000 views. And so you know that he's somebody that people are Googling, people want to know more about him, and it's a privilege and an honor to have him live on YouTube when you're at home on lockdown, COVID-19. We've been planning this interview actually when I was back in Ghana. And we're still going to do that because I want to go and let you guys see the inside of his properties, amazing properties that he has. And so without further ado, let me introduce you to the one and only. He is an industrialist, a humanitarian. He's a Christian. He's an economist, and he is Freedom Jacob Caesar. Nana.
Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening, Dental. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. Just want to see if you can see me clearly. Can you see me?
I can see you. I can see you clearly. It's a little bit dark, but I can just about see you. And you're looking fabulous as always, representing the African king. Nana, what are you wearing today?
Just some animal skins, prints. And
but Nana, where'd you get your outfits from? Who makes your outfits for you?
Well, I have one personal designer who I normally does my clothes, and his name is Hugo Monye. I wanted to obviously have a real African designer doing the collection of prints of Africa. So he has been inspired according to like the sort of designs that I like. I tell him what I want, and he brings it to life. Okay. So, let's pick him up. He's a great guy. But
where is he from? Where's he from? Is he in Ghana or is he outside of Ghana?
Well, he's Nigerian. He's African. I mean, okay. Nigerian. Hugo Monye collection. Recently, he made it to Vogue. He does great stuff, and yeah. Apart from that, I do wear other stuff, international designers, except that I like it customized.
I know you do. Everything has to be customized.
Wow.
Nana, I want to start from, we've had a long, in-depth conversation about, how you started. But for people that, don't know you or have never heard about you, can we touch on the part where you were in London? The story of London and the transition to Africa, why you decided, to move back to Africa, because you were comfortable here. Everything was going well. You were making money. You made your first million at the age of 21. And so what was the reason behind you moving back to the motherland?
Well, somewhere 1999, heading to 2000, I had a dream, and I was standing in front of a crowd. This isn't my storybook, but it's good I'm sharing it now. The book is not out, but I think it's chapter 6. Um, so I saw like an infinity crowd, and I wanted to walk back from the stage because I thought it wasn't me. You know, the crowd was too much, and I didn't know what I've done to be on that stage. So I kept looking back and looking at the crowd, but something said to me, "Well, look into the crowd and see if you know someone. If you know a face, then it's you." So I did, and I just saw a smiling face, but he had 4 missing tooth, and that guy is called Krapa. So Krapa is a security guy that used to work for my mom. So I lived with Krapa as a security guy in the 80s. And so I said, "Wow, Krapa, what are you doing here?" So then I realized that the people might be standing there for me. So the dream just went away. And that was in 1999. Somewhere in 2001, I had an issue, which I don't want to, it's a long story, but I was lying down on my bed after that and looking up on the ceiling, and then Crapper's face kind of appeared again. So when Crapper's face appeared again and I saw the 4 missing tooth, I mean, you can't miss that smile. 4 of the tooth is missing. So I laughed and I was like, Crapper, what is this? Like, what is God trying to tell me? Because I've always listened to a voice, that talks to me, a silent voice. And then I heard a voice saying that Crapper has a 4 missing tooth. He was just a mere watchman. This guy will never be in England. He will never have the chance to be here. You're in the wrong place. If you know that there is a crowd ahead of you waiting, then you should go back to the areas where you find. And that's when I knew that there was a call for me to go back to Africa. It was 28th of November. On the 3rd of December,
wow,
I left everything and moved to Africa.
So, but was it that simple to just walk away and just, go to Africa?
See, that's the beauty of our life. The beauty of our life is when we take the most critical decision that the average will never take, that the most will run away from. People will think, oh no, I have cars, I have money, I have girlfriends, I have to be here, I can't move, I can't do. But when you hear the voice, sometimes you have to act upon it like you are a loser, but you win in the end, and that's what I did. So I went to Africa, 2001, and on my way, I realized that I was going to be there alone.
Wow.
Because everybody wanted to be in England.
Yes.
But I hanged in there and I followed the vision, the dream, and the instructions. And it's been 19 years, and we can talk about it.
Okay, so I have a question. I think I'll dive in because it kind of fits into what you're saying. So I have a question for Kwabena Say Amwating, who's in London. He greets you and the family. He says hello. But he wants you to picture something in your mind. A 27-year-old person that lives in Manchester, dreams to come to the motherland and contribute to the building of the continent. And, he wants to move within the next 18 months. What 2 concrete, specific pieces of advice would you give that patriot that has love for his country in advance of coming home to Africa?
Well, a lot of people might want to move to Africa in a search of opportunity, which I wouldn't advise people to do that.
Okay.
I would rather that they have a drive, a spiritual message, and some sort of vision that they would want to turn into reality. So that way they can streamline the focus and make sure that they have total concentration on what they really want to do to assist the nation, the continent, and the people. If they think like that, they can find a particular situation where they prepare their mind, prepare themselves before they move. But if they just move thinking that, for the sake of opportunity, they're going to make a change in Africa. Africa is very, very difficult. It's a difficult system to live with. It's a difficult place to survive. In fact, people think being successful, it's something to do with hard work and getting there. In Africa, being successful, you simply need to survive first. And it's not very easy to survive in this system. So I think that first of all, they should prepare their mind, their soul, and
Okay.
that commitment, that vision before they move.
Okay. So is that the only advice? Is there any other advice that you would give them?
Um, well, I wouldn't want to push. There are other things, but
Okay.
this is the basic foundation. You know, if you don't have this, if you're not ready for this, if you don't have a vision, if you don't have an intuition, and if you can't depend on that vision and try to turn it into reality, finding the ways and means by any means necessary to make it happen, then there will be no drive. You know, you'll probably be like one of those who came, tried for 2 years, 3 years, and run back. So I don't want to go into their corporate advice as yet. You know, I just want them to have that basic uh, drive.
Okay. You know, you're someone that always talks about passion, that you have to have passion for something. Why is passion so important in everybody's life, or, you know, in doing business? Why do we have to have so much passion?
Because it's the only thing that leads you to happiness. People think that being successful can find you happiness, but sometimes it has to be the other way around. Happiness will lead you to success. So you need to build your passion from the beginning. You need to make sure that you're passionate about what you're doing, so the money doesn't intrude or the money doesn't actually come in between. You know, you feel like whether the money comes or not, as long as you're successful, as long as you're able to, you know, do what you're passionate about, you're happy. And a lot of times the money comes after, you know, unexpectedly. So we need to always, you know, take advantage of our passion. You know, we need to build it up, and it becomes happiness eventually.
Okay. And you're also, like I mentioned in the beginning, you're very, very, very spiritual. And I know that started from your mother, Ma Liz, and she's somebody that raised you basically in the church. And how have you
Yeah.
been able to maintain your spiritual life in everything that you're doing?
I think it's important in everything, God first. Even though I know a lot of people have doubts whether God really exists, but it works. Even though we haven't seen God, but we felt Him. There's so many times that you might think you can depend on your friends or your parents or your nation or your country, and sometimes it will just disappoint you. But I've never been disappointed in terms of my spiritual realm. You know, my relationship with God. I've never been disappointed. You know, I've always gotten to where I want to get to. You know, there's been difficult times, you know, sometimes struggles and everything, but eventually it's done. It happens. So I would advise every young person out there who's up and coming to keep God first in everything they do. You know, you need to believe in something omnipotent, something above you, something that created you, something that created the mountains, the sea, the earth, the money, everything that we came to meet. We came to meet it. And we need to respect that. We need to respect nature to be able to acquire wisdom. We need to respect the people that live in within to acquire knowledge. And we need to find a way to understand them. And I believe that this is the beauty of life. You know, we're only here to pass time, but whilst we're here, we should also consider the fact that there is an opportunity that has been given to us, and that opportunity is that we have life. We're living life. Apart from all the other things that we're looking for in life, we have a great opportunity to be here amongst the rest. So for me, God first, and we have to find a way to give back whatever that He gives us. We have to find a way to share whatever knowledge that we have. And I think that's my strength. That's my shield. That's my background. That's my truth. Really.
Absolutely. But Nana, do you see that the youth nowadays, do you think that they have the faith in which you were grown up to believe? Do you think that the faith and the spiritual aspect of you know, of Christianity or Muslim or whatever it is that you believe in, do you think that the youth have it now?
No, I don't think so. And I can agree with you if you don't think so neither, because they were born in a swipe days, where technology was highly impulsive, and they started asking computer questions. So they didn't need anyone to teach them anything anymore. They have their own reasonable doubts, But I also believe that we must be able to teach them the new religion, a newer way of having faith, working with their hope, and not leaning on their fear. And I believe all these things are part of religion. I believe that, the Christianity that we know, it's a way of just going to church. That's the past. But if you want to adapt to the modern days with the youth of today, you also have to understand the way they think. And I believe that there's so many other ways that we can, help them to understand that, yes, there is a belief and there is a way that we have to live, and I think that's the best we can get them to be like and to live right. But I don't see them as the churchgoers. I don't see them as the people that would be spending nights saying that they're going for all nights to worship God. And, I also don't blame them. It's just the time that they came around. And, we have to find a way to still be able to share knowledge and wisdom with them that they could adapt to it and let it help them. It's one of the things that freedom movement is doing.
But I know, in our culture, we seem to be, even when somebody wrongs us, we say, famanyame, give it to God. Like, we don't act upon things a lot because we are so, like, Christianity or faith has kind of drawn some type of curtain around our eyes sometimes. How important do you think that sometimes it's not about famanyame, but actually, do something about it?
I understand you. I just think that that's just the level of education they have. We have to remember that religion still falls within the levels of education, and some people are fully educated through a religious study. That's what they know. They went to church, they listened to the law of Moses, the law of Genesis, the law of the New Testament. They might not be enlightened enough to see that there are human civil rights and all other rights and so forth. They might not even have a way of paying a fee to a lawyer if they feel like, someone needs to be sued. So we also have to look at Africa as a nation and a generation that hasn't been enlightened enough about certain things. And as much as their belief takes them into a particular corner, we should also remember that we are responsible to uplift them, to teach them, to open certain doors that will make the younger ones who are coming up not to adapt the dreams of our fathers, which could not be turned into reality, and not to repeat their mistakes. I believe that we are the ones who are responsible for that, because our mothers and maybe our grandfathers have almost lived life to the fullest. Yes, they might have a great advice for us, but they might not be the right people to steer us to our next destination. It's just the generation above who is enlightened and understands both the adults and the youth. The ones in between should have that kind of dream to steer them. And I think Africa needs this the most.
Absolutely. Nana, you are very family orientated. You love kids. You have four beautiful kids of your own, and a beautiful wife. How are you empowering your children, encouraging your children, and instilling some of the things that you believe in your children?
Well, first of all, kids today are very different. You can't force them to learn things that you think is best for them, but you can share things that you think is interesting enough for them to learn about. Because it's one of the things that I believe has been taken away from us, Africans and Black people. Our fathers were doctors and they will force us to become doctors just because they were doctors.
Yeah.
If they were lawyers, they will force you to become a lawyer.
Yeah.
Today technology, it's spread worldwide, and people can have choices and options. And if you try to steer them into a corner, they lose interest in you as a person. So I try as much as I can to let my kids grow to respect me, to accept me, to embrace me. I feel like these are the qualities in the world that kids need more so than everyday advice by pushing them and trying to tell them how to be good. Of course, there is a great balance in this world, good and bad. And sometimes people have to be bad to learn how to be good. Sometimes people, when were sad to understand the value of happiness. So I try as much for them to know the basic things about life, about nature, how to respect people, how to build your trust, how to be loyal, and how to respect the value of life. These things, I think, when we learn about it, we have the best of lessons in life. You might have as much money or you might have all the wealth in the world, but if you disrespect humans, you lose value in the sight of man, and sometimes your money cannot buy it back. And I feel like this is the kind of things that I teach my children. I want them to also learn other things from outside. I want them to compare me to other fathers, and I also want them to witness the greatness in me to inspire them to be able to do their own.
Absolutely. You touched on loyalty. You touched on trust. As Africans, are we loyal to each other? Do we trust one another? And
No,
how do we go forward if not?
no, we don't. I think that these are some of the qualities that colonial masters took away from us. They sort of deprived us from seeing the value of our own color skin, and then started to protect our tribal cultures. Whereas we should look at ourselves as a race and a nation, as a continent, to be able to contribute to our continental success or economy. But we are just either tribalistic or culturalistic or some stick.
Yeah.
We are always adamant on a particular thing that interests or that is in our own interest. And I feel like if we had a loyalty, we had trust for our own people and value, everything made in Africa would be bought by the world because we will see value in what we do, the things that are made by us, the things that are thought by us, the things that are structured or manufactured by us, and we'll be able to trade with the world. But it's also one of my biggest vision that before I leave this earth, I have to reinstitute that value onto my race. I have to make sure that I revive a national, global culture. I have to bring it back, the history of our ancestors, the kingdomship. This is my belief. This is what I'm loyal to. This is where my trust lies.
Nana, but do you think the kingdomship will work again? I mean, do you think that, the way in which, like you're saying, from slavery and all of that, can we go back to the days of kingdomship?
Of course, it's the state of mind. I mean, look, if you look 50 years ago, the Middle East, the Arabs have totally lost it, and they lost their kingdomship over 5 to 6 centuries, which is 600 years. The last time they were kings and sheikhs and this and that was somewhere in the 13th century. And Sheikh Akhenaton decided to bring back that authority, that kingdomship, by just starting with pioneering. In his country, they barely had anything. They discovered oil on a desert, but with that mindset, state of mind, they managed to build Dubai in 40 years. I mean, that's one of the countries that we've seen being built, in our lifetime. In 40 years, they went from 3 tall buildings to million skyscrapers and one of the best economies in the world. It's the same thing with Singapore. People have done that. They've sort of built their own, should I call it a democracy or monarchy together, as putting them together. So you have a little bit of law around it, but you have the kingdomship around it. It wouldn't
Mm.
probably be like what happened in the 13th century with the
Yeah.
Mansa Musa case. But I believe that this is what Africans, Black people, the diaspora, we have to come back. We have to build our own society. We live in other people's society, and it's not fair on us because we've had the greatest people. There's the names like Michael Jackson, Mike Tyson, Mike Jordan, Mike Whitney Houston. But when they die, we don't know where their royalties. We don't know. We lose control of everything.
Mm.
That's because they were labeled by somebody. They signed their life to someone's entity. That entity could belong to a Jewish society or the white society, but we haven't had any Black society that has built serious platforms that has become a global conglomerate that puts a pond in the global world. And we need to start doing that. And I think the only way for us to be recognized worldwide that way is if we start to build our kingdomship back, So we can set our own rules, our own regulations. I mean, I don't see why people should call from America or should come from America to save our countries from fighting. And, I can't go to America to do that. I can't go there to change laws. I can't come to England to do that. I can't go to anywhere in the world. I'm an African. So if Africans have issues, I feel like we should find solutions for it. And until we accept that responsibility, I don't see how we're going to build our society, how we're going to build our nation, how we're going to build our people. It's impossible.
Now, I'll come on to this question. What are you doing to change the perception between Africans in the diaspora and Africans living in Africa?
Well, first of all, I think I try to show the world that it's possible to build wealth in Africa.
Okay.
Because a lot of people don't seem to think that it's possible. But you can become a billionaire, a millionaire in Africa. The same place that you're seeing pictures and videos of starvation, of death, of sickness, all that. But we don't have global media platforms to also show the world how some parts of Africa it's so clean, so successful, and also the best place to be. So we are lacking that part. But me living all over the world, I can see that places like America have worse places like Africa. I saw a place in LA called Ski Road, and it's the biggest homeless thing I've ever seen. I mean, I've never seen anything like that in my whole life. And I'm from Africa. Yeah. So, and I decided to help some homeless people there. And I think that we should actually start to maybe motivate and inspire the diaspora that not only should they visit us, but they should start to join us, join forces with what they have and what we have, and let's see how we can create and build conglomerates, that control economy, that has a voice, that has the power to speak for or to say, hey, yes, we can handle it ourselves. You don't need to come, and we have a lot of people out there, who are not coming back home because they don't see what they can get from Africa as yet, or maybe they have a better deal in somewhere in other parts of the world. So they might not want to come back. But yeah, I think it's about time that they start looking at most of the successful people, the up and coming people, what they're doing, and they should start thinking what they can also do with these people. I like the story of Dangote, and I follow him and I learn from him, and I would probably use his strategy times 7, to build Africa as one nation, because I learned from him from the industrial sector, but I'm talking about the revolutionary in addition with industrialization. If we have to do that, that is just another step. But he's one of the people that opened my third eye to that, and he used the Chinese to just build his hardware, and he created a distribution channel to distribute his goods. And the entire nations in different countries started responding to his goods, and his goods was between rice, cement, and sugar, and it's one of the household item or commodity that we need. So out of 300, 400 million people, if they're buying $20 or $30 from him every month, this is a residual income. It will never stop, and yet he kind of manufactured things, internally. So we need to be doing these things. We need to be doing these things, and I think that a lot of diaspora have contacts, network, experience, but they're using it in the Western part more, or they're working for other organizations. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's about time that we move forward as one big nation. We are Africans. We are Black people. We cannot change it. You can become Michael Jackson. You will still be Black. It's something that is so powerful. That's what God has given us. And people don't see that. I see that in me. I see that Black is not a bad thing, even though they paint us as Black is the devil, Black is this, Black is that, Black is that. But, the beauty of light comes out of darkness. It comes out of Black. So the beauty of everything is you need to peel something that is dark, that is Black, to see the beauty behind it. And we have that beauty.
Absolutely.
We have a light behind us. We have the gold, we have the diamonds, we have everything to build our world. And I'm not going to believe in anyone, undermining me, underestimating my color, and telling me my capability is not up to standard. I don't believe in all that. I believe in my people. I believe in my color, my culture. I believe in my nation. That's what I believe in. That's all I have. That's all I have.
We touched on America. When you were with the likes of Mayweather, you've met Naomi Campbell, she's one of your close friends, Mary J. Blige, the list goes on. If I was to name all the A-list celebrities in the US, you probably met them all. What is their perception of Africa? I know that, for somebody like Mayweather, I've heard a few comments where you say, I think when he met you, then that's when he got a respect for Africans. Do you think that African Americans don't really know the impact that we are making in Africa?
No, I don't think so. I don't think they know, because we Africans are not really impacting the world. And that's a fact. You see, the fact is the subject of the matter. Point at them. Who is the global superstar from Africa that is maintaining, that is taking over? Who is the global leader that has a voice that everybody sits and listens? What do we have? Who is our Bill Gates? Who is our Zuckerberg? How many do we have? How many even Dangotes do we have? So they don't believe that there is something going on in Africa. However, I believe that there is something about to happen from Africa. And I think that's what they see in me. They see a myth. They see something that, okay, we haven't seen this one before. Let's see what he's got. Because, and I'm not saying it in the form of me being a braggart, but I haven't seen another person from Africa who have friends. I'm talking of not Facebook friends or hello friends, real friends.
Yeah.
From president to footballers to actors and actresses and sports legends and models and you name it. So I have friends in all these circles, and friends that we trust each other with respect and loyalty. And the reason why I believe that I'm doing something good by making sure that I keep these friends, going and build a relationship as well as managing it, is because they're going to begin to see something in Africans. Even though we're Black people who have never looked back as far as Africa, I feel like I could become one example for them to say, no, we have to look at these people. There are people who have what it takes to do what we are doing, whether we're in America or we're in London or we're here. So that is the actual essence of me managing those relationships. It's not like I'm interested to be like them. I'm always happy to be me, because I don't see how I can change being me. But being around such people, there has to be some benefits. And the benefit is to add value to all Africans. So even the diaspora and people who have never been to Africa, but yet their grassroots comes from Africa, they can start to have value in us.
So what was Mayweather's perception of you? You know, seeing that actually, this guy has the same watch as me. This guy has the same car as me, can drive the same car as me. What was the reaction that you got?
Me and Floyd were cool. I mean, we met on a different level, you know, and this is not something that I would like to just go through right now. You know, it's a long story, but, you know, sometimes to be a champion is not easy. But then when you meet the people that can actually build a champion, you recognize. So game recognize game and real do too. That's just the story between me and Floyd. You know, I recognize him as a lost warrior who is Ashanti. And I'm an Ashanti and I'm a true warrior. So that's where the synergy connected. It's more spiritual than physical. You know, he knows that I have some spiritual capacity and ability that I can crush certain things that he has crushed for the world to follow him. So he sees that, he feels that energy, that synergy, you know, and I see that legendary status in him, but we connect because we can see we're not far from each other. And up until then, I probably would have not witnessed something like that, you know, looking back, you know. So yeah, I think, and he's cool people. I feel like when you become successful, many people will not like you. You know, when you become successful. That's why in a white world, the most successful people are hidden. You only probably hear their company names and you don't even know how big. They're probably sitting next to you, but you don't know it's them.
You don't even know it's them.
Yeah,
they're in some shorts and some slippers.
I know, but you know, we're very different because we're not used to having a lot. And God have to bless us. We go out there to show our blessing. And when we start to show our blessing, instead of people asking us, hey, how can I be blessed too? They say, no, I don't like you because you have what I don't have. I'm not going to ask you how you got it. I'm just going to find a way to make you look bad, which is first amongst us as Black people. You know, why are you going to be worried about your own color, what they have, and forget about other people in the world that are milking things from even your own motherland? But you're worried about just one person or two who is the same color as you, who would die and be buried on the same land as you. That's the person that you're worried about. You know, I feel like racism lives within Black on Black more than white and Black. And it's about time we correct that. You know, one of the main reasons why I chose Floyd to be one of the first people to be my friends, yet I'm yet to have some more friends that the world is about to find out, because 5 years from now, I can guarantee you that, you know, a lot of superstars would have to come and get consultation for some reason. And I don't want to tell you what they will be consulted about. But I chose Floyd because one day I heard him say, you know, something about Africa, which I didn't like, you know. People think that being wise is about confronting people sometimes and letting them know how sensible you can be. No, being wise simply means that you need to understand what it takes to be stupid so you don't repeat stupidity. Now, if you want to show somebody that you're wise, you don't go to them to confront them. You go to them to actually let them embrace you. You embrace them back, and slowly you address the situation. So they, you know, they see that you're there for them and you're not there to break them. And so when I picked him as one of the first people to, you know, to come around me, and, you know, we sat down and we put some numbers together, and he could tell that, yes, the future is big if we all start thinking that way. You know, I feel like we Blacks are not liking each other properly. We are not living for each other properly. We're not standing for each other properly. We don't care what happened to our people and their assets. We don't care what they came to this world to do on our behalf. When it goes away. We don't fight for it. We don't fight for our people. We don't fight for our color. We don't fight for our continent. We only fight one another. We don't even have a reason why we're fighting one another. and then you see a simple virus come around and shake everybody and put them behind closed doors. But as soon as the virus disappear, they will come right back out and start opening up their mouth one against each other. And I see that as fear. I don't see that as braveness. I think that somebody needs to replace that fear. I'm here to do that. And I believe that the only thing stronger than fear is hope. And that's what I represent. I want everyone that is listening to me right now to understand that if there is anything I can give them that they can inherit from what I've ever gained on this earth, the first will be hope. So they can cancel their fear. That whatever I've become, they are not far from it. They can become a million times more. They just need to start building their hope. Remove the fear of how someone has become better than you, so you don't like them. Remove the fear how you think if you let them in, they will become better than you, so you stop them. Remove all that fear and replace it with hope. Start to think that if he does well, then my nation or my color will be respected. If I have one African who is known all over the world and respected, it will bring the value of Africa that has been depreciated back. We have to start thinking the power of positive thinking is so important in our times of living. Else, what was the use of us? We didn't come here to waste our lives, but we only have 70 years. And we keep moving the 70 years. We have the greatness coming out of the talents that God has awarded us, but we don't have any inheritance from that, giving back to our people. So coherently, we can just keep going on and making sure that we are accumulating wealth. We are accumulating grace, glory, and we're living it for generations to carry on, our legacy. It's important. I think Black people need to really wake up.
And you're absolutely right. I mean, for me, I just feel like we see so much jealousy in our community. And you see so much support, like, for instance, in the Jewish community, in the Indian, Asian community, you see them supporting each other. And I feel like, how do we get there? And you talk about, us having that hope, but is that just it? Or do we have to, is it that we have to wait for a new whole generation to start, Africa to start again? Because I just don't know how we're going to get rid of jealousy in our community.
Hope is a great start. Okay, we always have to start from somewhere. Let me tell you this. Statistically, 90% of Africa kids have a lot of fear in them. From the age of 8 years old, they start to think, what am I going to eat? Where am I going to sleep? And then by the time they're 15, if they're lucky enough to have education, they start to think, where am I going to get a job? This kind of fear that we grow with makes us end up being jealous if we saw one doing well. But we have to be able to start creating platforms that will create this employment, that will create this residual income, that will create this hope that everyone can look up to. We need to start changing things in our nations, in our continents. And I don't think it would happen overnight, but we have to start it. I think in any case, we have moved forward from what we lost in the past.
Okay.
We were so bad that we were slaves that were brutalized, that we didn't even know half of where our descendants were and our people were. Today, some of us have become the best of musicians, the best of sports legends, the best of presidents and leaders, so we have moved forward. It's just that we haven't been able to come together. We are separated. We are segregated. But I believe that we are united by color.
Okay.
So there is a unity within us, but we don't see it. We sometimes prefer the white to black. Sometimes like the black because he's there. So there's a unity in us. But we need to bring it together, consolidate all that, have a strong team who have experience, who have passion, who have wealth, to start to build our organizations. We don't have the best banks. One bank in the world that belongs to a black society? No. If you want to look for one international you name it, hospital, it doesn't belong to us. A record label, it doesn't belong to us. A lot of things that brings international global revenue doesn't belong to us. But we're the ones running in it. We're the ones singing and doing other things. We're the one controlling countries under these platforms. But what's the leader? If a leader is being led by someone else, so we have maybe some of our leaders who are already facing, debts, issues. They have inherited problems, democratical problems. They can't say it to the public. They can't share it with the nation. So they have to sacrifice a lot just to keep their cool and keep going, And I feel like we're living on our knees. It's not fair, I mean, I know people who I probably have watched over 3 generations, but they all get destroyed in the end. Whether it's Michael Jackson or Bill Cosby or R. Kelly, I know we're all not perfect. Yes, we might have our mistakes, and some people did bad things, but I feel like sometimes there's something being pointed at us. We go up, and they bring us down. So even if we were looking up, or our children were looking up to this person, then they bring them down. So then you have to find somebody else to start looking up to. We need to do something about it. I think we're too strong. We're too good at what we do. And we've already realized that we're powerful. God has given us grace, blessing, resources, minerals, everything. Leadership skills. I'm very proud of you. You have family, you're married, you have children, but you still do what a young girl dreamed to do. And it's not easy for a woman to do that. So you are representing women, and you have shown the world that the power and the strength in a woman is globally accepted. We can do things. And same thing with me and others who are coming up. We need to lift our people up. We need to. I know it's difficult for us sometimes to even share positive knowledge, powerful, revolutionary stories and speeches that would probably sound controversial. But we have to raise our people up. We have to lift them up. It's not about the money that we're going to make whilst we're here. It's not about the buildings that we're going to build whilst we're here, or the clothes we're going to wear. But it's about the investment that we put in people. That happiness, that strength, that courage, that hope. That's our value. That is what I believe that we Black people haven't inherited from our people. We keep losing it, and there isn't anything to follow or anything to carry on. We don't have royalties. I want to bring royalties back because we're royal. Wow. We are all royals.
Wow. Now, during this pandemic, you saw that someone like Alibaba went to deliver PPEs to African countries. And like you so correctly mentioned, we didn't have an African person, a personality that we could say did what Alibaba did. Why is that? I mean, like we said, we've got a Dangote, we've got Tony Elumelu, we have so many, but we didn't have an African, either entrepreneur, African business person that did what Alibaba did. It took somebody from a different race to come and support us with products for Africa.
Well, first of all, I think Alibaba understands oligopoly more than monopoly. Anyone that thinks of oligopoly is going to be a multi-billionaire because they think of how to capture an entire nation, an entire continent. And he sees a huge potential for his business in Africa. He's already seen it. I mean, we've had 1 or 2 conversations, and of course, he's an intelligent, smart man. And he sees the use of people is more important than the target to money. So he would obviously want to donate to Africa and make sure that is well highlighted. That's what happened. He bought into the right media spaces. So every little, big, small, tall, Black, African, worldwide, this, that, we hear what he's doing. Whereas you probably have people like maybe Dangote or some of these African billionaires would just carry the money and give it to the government, without highlighting it, without having CNN and BBC and all these other people present. So it's not like Alibaba is any different from those leaders. He's just a little bit more smarter when it comes to dealing with continents, when it comes to dealing with population, because that's how they make their money. They make their money from a population. They don't make their money from an organization, a simple institution. No, from the entire population. So, of course, I would call that corporate stunt. He's done it very well. But, people don't give you gifts for nothing. Always remember that. Presents are not for free.
Wow.
And so is your day. Today, they might say it's a present. It's a gift, but it's not for free. To just spend the day is going to cost you. You're going to pay for your water. You're going to pay for the water you have shower with. You're going to pay for the electricity, the energy. You're going to pay for today. And if tomorrow meets you, you're going to pay for it. So nothing that comes free doesn't have a price.
Wow.
There is a price.
For everything.
Even freedom, there's a price for it. To gain the freedom, you will lose a lot. You will probably share a whole lot of tears and a whole lot of blood and lose a whole lot of people just to gain your freedom for a nation. So it's not for free. And I don't believe in this Westerners coming to Africa and pretending that they are giving us stuff because we're going through troubles and this and that and that. I don't see why. I looked at recently, China brought us 2 cargos of planes for this and that for COVID-19. And I checked, okay, how many cases do we have here? They said, oh, we have 112 cases. I said, 112 cases? And they already brought about 100,000 stuff for 100,000 cases. So they believe that all of us have to be affected. And for me, I don't think that way. I think backwards. I don't want 100,000. I want anything for free there first. If you're going to help me to find a solution to make that 112 people become 60, I prefer that to the 100,000. Because then I found a solution that I can go back to 0. So we depend on too much gifts, and people come in from other parts of the world and giving us stuff. And what is a beggar? A beggar has no value. And it's not every gift that we should even receive. And not to say that what he did was bad. Maybe he's doing his thing. But I think Africans should be able to also afford to do certain things. If we have issues with COVID-19 as a country, we should be able to get our native doctors, our scientific doctors, our other health, proprietors to come together, and let's see what we can probably help the country with locally first. Locally, let's discuss that amongst ourselves, amongst the Ministry of Health, and to see how we can sort of cut this whole thing. Because I don't believe that God is going to make COVID-19 come and wipe Africa. We are already in tears. We're already in so much shambles. And for the past 19 years that I've been in Africa, I have seen some miracles that you can have the money to buy a home. When a mosquito bites you, you will get malaria. But the guy who is very poor that sleeps on the street every night, the mosquito bites them and go and die. The mosquito will go and die. So God is not going to watch us to be wiped out like that. He knows that we don't have the hospitals. You might be giving us 100,000 or 1 million masks and this and that. We don't even have hospital beds that come to 100,000. So definitely, if this disease is gonna, spread in Africa, we don't stand a chance. But one thing I believe in is that Africa has been through worse situations, and we've always survived. It's come from malaria, it's come from HIV, it's come from Ebola, it's come from a lot of things. If anything, the world should start looking at us and say, is Black unbeatable? Maybe if they are, then we should start to find out, what they eat every day or what they believe in. Because, you can't exterminate us. You can't eliminate us. You can't stop us. We go through pain, we go through so much, but we still always overcome the challenge. And that's how I want our leaders, our youth, our people to have faith that the world is not coming to an end for us. It might be coming to an end for some people, but not for us. I believe that a lot of people will be crossing to Africa after this, coming to look for opportunities. I believe that the world might lose hundreds, thousands of people, and I'm sorry about that. May their soul rest in peace. But if we don't have to die and you see 1,000 or 500 deaths, which is less than malaria, then please, maybe where you are in the world, you have to have a second home in Africa, you know? So that's my belief. I believe that one of the reasons why I was sent back to Africa is coming closer to that vision. It's a new world. It's a new world.
Absolutely.
And talking about COVID-19, I think God knows best for the world. The world was going too fast. We needed a break. You know, technology, this, that, planes, flying, traveling. I mean, I did 253,000 miles just last year. You know, just one person. I was thinking, wow, a car would have to drive 30 years to do that miles. And I did it 1 year on plane. So we were doing it so fast. You know, this is a break for us to start to think about the next world that we're going into, for us to realize that, you know, we should be one. We should be able to support each other. It doesn't matter whether we're from Asia, Africa, America, or London, or England. We shouldn't take advantage out of each other, because there is one virus that has kept all of us behind closed doors. And that's how powerful that small virus is. It should be able to teach us a lot of lessons about life.
And with this small virus that you're talking about, Africans are being abused in China. You did a powerful video a few days ago where it's gone viral. What was your reasoning behind doing that video?
Well, first of all, you know, I'm a humanitarian, you know, and my philanthropical work doesn't have to be just African. It's just about humans worldwide. You know, I went to America and I decided to house 300 people with tents. And their problems that they haven't been able to solve with 1 billion, you know, I solved it with a couple of thousands. Just for me, that's my achievement. I love that. These things lift up my spirit. And for me, being an African and sitting there, and I saw a few things happening between Blacks, Africans, and China around this moment where COVID-19 is something that has pushed everyone behind closed doors. And I thought that brutality was also partial. That's what woke my spirit up. So I woke up not out of flesh to do what I want to do. It was spiritual. I was like, no way. If you are going to sit there in China and look at an Englishman or an American in China, after the Americans are even verbally abusing Chinese, they don't go and touch them, but they start to touch us. And I thought, wow, has it come to that? That means we are the least respected. In fact, no respect whatsoever. And then I thought about other things I was seeing when they did a museum and said, this is Africa, and then compared us to animals, and people were paying money to go and see. And I thought, look, this is an insult that as long as I'm alive, I would never sit there to watch this happen. And I thought, of course, I wasn't going to blame any of our leaders, because I also know their position and their struggles with this global, you know, debt that they have. So it's not everything that they can voice out about it. You know, it's like they're holding them by their neck and they're sitting on a nation. But I thought, what is the point if I'm African and I'm Black and my voice cannot be heard? You know, should I just sit down and wait for the president to speak? No. And is this something that I expect just the president or the government to deal with it? No. This is a racial matter. Black people are all over the world. We are in America, we are in England, we are in China, we're everywhere, you know, but no one really wants to voice out for us. No one wants to speak for the entire Black population, you know, and the spirit just sort of told me it's about time. So freedom movement, had to take that stance and go ahead and do it. Even though a lot of people were not interested, the Chinese embassy called me just before I went out there that they heard that I'm about to do this and that, and it's not true, then the misunderstanding. And I still didn't listen to them because I felt like they were not being remorseful. So I went ahead to do whatever I had to do. But it was a peaceful demonstration to actually create the awareness among the youth and Black people all over the world that it's about time that we don't take any nonsense from anyone in the world. And this goes to the whole world, not only China. Whether you're from France or England or Russia, you have your problems, deal with your problems. I have my problems, I have to deal with my problems. But, don't use me as scapegoat. Don't use me as a floor mat. Don't start beating my people up. If you want to fight, you should go and fight the Americans then. The Chinese should go and beat them because they have been insulting them every time on CNN, on BBC. Don't they have news media platforms? They should see it. Why are they not retaliating? They're scared. And so they're not scared of us? Okay. But my problem is very simple. That I feed you with minerals, with resources, and I feed your economy. I grab all the money from my system, from my economy, fly all the way to China and buy your manufactured goods, bring it back to Africa, pay the government 50% taxes just to sell your product. So I'm part of your global success. And when we are in a situation like now, COVID-19, you start kicking us out of our homes. You stopped us from entering restaurants. So one, we don't have a place to sleep, and we don't have food to eat. This is a sign of slavery. That means they would do that to us if they had the chance. And if we don't stand up to talk about it, that means we have given them the chance. And after this, we met them again. I've sat with the Chinese embassy again, and I've told them that I will not stop the peaceful demonstration unless they come forward with the letter of apology. They have to give us a formal apology. We are a race. We are a continent. Africa is not a country for you to say you can abuse. It's a whole continent, 54 countries. Black people, we exist in many countries all over the world. You cannot just do that. I don't expect my children one day to be in Cambodia and somebody just jump on them to attack them. And I don't expect Black people in Africa to start beating or killing Chinese people, because we also don't want to be seen as violent people and killers. We want to live in a peaceful world. If we were that violent, look how much we've lost to the world. We would go fight in the world already, but we're not. We want to live to see our children come out of these bad situations and bad crises and shambles that we're in. But it doesn't mean we should be partially brutalized. And it doesn't mean that the world should also stand and just watch. This is something that the world shouldn't be silent about. It's not fair. They're not doing it to Americans, and they're not doing it to Europeans. They're not doing it to Italians, Brazilians, and all these people, and they're going to do it to Africans and Blacks. We are not accepting that. And if they want us to go forward and still do business with them, which I think we should, because we all need each other in this world, then it costs them 0% to say sorry. But if they refuse to, then they have pride. Then they're arrogant. Then that means they don't respect us, or they don't want to give us that common respect. And I will go for that. I know it might be very hard for some of the government to stand up to say this, but I'm saying it. From the perspective that I'm seeing life right now, if we can't stand for ourselves, no one will stand for us. And it's about time we do that, because no one is doing that. And that's what this whole movement about this demonstration I did, this is what it's about. It's about waking that spirit in us up. We need to be up. We need to speak for ourselves.
But Nana, every person that has tried to speak out has ended up either dead, or they've given up, or something has happened. Everybody that has tried to stand up for Africa doesn't seem to last long. Or to
Because
get...
this brings us back to what we discussed earlier, fear. There's so much fear in blacks and Africans that when you stand up to talk, you end up standing alone. It's like you go out there with your friends and you say, we're going to do this. And as soon as you get there, you jump out and run away. You know, it's too much fear in us. So even if we stand up to talk, our own people would turn their back on us. They would betray us, or they would be the one that would be manipulated through another country or another race, and then help take up their own people. The story of Jesus Christ and Judas. Please, it's enough of this, China, but it's also enough of this, black people. You know, let's start to stand up for our own. Let's start to fight for our own, and we're going to benefit. We're going to have rewards. Maybe not this time, but 100 years from now, our children will remember what we did for them to be able to have the value they will have then. You know, and no money can buy that value then. That's what I call an inheritance. This is a social inheritance. It's not a building that will run down. You know, it's not a car that would crash and be spoiled. This is an inheritance that lives with a nation. We need to take stands. It's not just even about us thinking about putting money together and building hospitals and building banks. We need to claim our value back. We need to gain our respect back. We need to be accepted. You know, some places I go to, and then it looks like, okay, is black allowed here? Yes, black is allowed. And I'm here, you know, and my presence should be announced. And when I go, I want my absence to be felt. And that's the spirit that we need. You know, we need to stand up. Because we can't forever live on our knees and pretend that we're happy watching television and flying and going for holiday and this. But when it comes to the real McCoy, we jump or we run. I don't believe in that.
Do you feel alone in what you're doing? Sometimes you feel as if you're alone in this quest for Africans to get their freedom.
I am, but you know what? I'm used to it because it's very lonely at the top, especially when you're a black person. It's very, very lonely. You go home to sleep alone. You hear a million of stuff about you. And 999,000 of them is bad remarks. It's only 1,000 of them that might be good. I mean, the aggregate, it's not proportional. So it makes you very lonely when you take decisions on a narrow path. I'm already alone. But you know what? I live for my people. I don't want to look at them as useless or hopeless, because that's all I have. And if you look at how a woman loved their child, you would understand what I have for my people. You know, that's who I am. I'm black. You know, if you take one person from Ghana, one person from Nigeria, one person from maybe America, put us in a plane, send us to China. As soon as we come out of the plane, they wouldn't know which one is Ghanaian, Nigerian, or American. They would just say black people or Africans.
It's true.
So we only stand for a color and a particular nation. And we should stop trying to hide or run away from it, because it's the only shield we have. We have to protect it. We have to let our children understand that being black is one of the most powerful things in this world, because we came to fight to win. You know, we have to start putting that in them. We have to instill that in them. We have to let them be strong spiritually, not just trying to be strong physically and then run away when the time comes. We have to build our people up. We have to claim our values back. These are, for me, this is what we need before even the riches, before the wealth, before the World Bank loans and all these things. We need to change the mindset that no, I am not going to let you take me for a ride. I am not going to let you come and destroy all my land so you can take gold for yourself and leave me with water. That is dead. I can't use it for anything. I can't even drive past there, and I can't plant food there to eat. We need to start standing up. If you want to do that, let's do it for ourselves. Let's refine our own gold. Let's build our own industrial platforms. Let's have our own Silicon Valley, and let's have our own energy city, which is what I'm doing right now, talking about this. It's my next embarkment. This is the next biggest thing I'm doing, and I believe that this will bring Africa together. This will be replicated in other African countries, and this would change the economy. It would create a great balance and let our economy start to boom. You know, I want them to now import from us too. It's about time. that we export to them. You know,
Absolutely.
we have the land, we have the skills, we have the raw materials, we have the minerals, we have everything. The only thing left is for them to come and put the hardware, choose the Asians, choose the Europeans to come and put the mechanism, choose the Middle East to come and put the energy, and let's start rolling. So we build our nations like the Dubais and the Singapores. It's our time to do so. It's our time.
Absolutely. This is the time, as I keep saying. Nana, I'll touch on, some of the things that you're doing. So for instance, what I've seen that you do a lot of is that you use a lot of Europeans to work for you, right? And one of the things that I noticed was that I interviewed Anthony Pyle, who's the CEO of Blue Skies, who in 2017 turned over 130 million pounds.
Right. It's
and Nana, when he said he first got to Ghana, there's a white man, right? First got to Ghana and he asked, the chiefs of the land, look, I don't want you to sell me the land. I want us to do this together, He said he begged, he pleaded, but they were like, no, you can have the land, blah, 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 blah. Why is it that we don't understand? It's like we just want the cash. Now this man is making so much money, and it's basically the money is not even going to stay, most of it in the UK, in Ghana. It's going to go to the UK. Why is it that we are so quick to give away?
Because, Danton, you would only see our problems when you live within it. Some people don't have the choice to wait till tomorrow. Some people can't. It's so painful to say it. Like when this COVID-19 started and they were going to do the lockdown, they did everything. I sat there, I listened to everyone and watched all the news, and I realized that they forgot the main factor. That some people cannot be locked down because they don't have what it takes to eat. They don't have it. They don't have shelters. They don't have a lot. And there is no substitution. There is no welfare. There is nothing. People live on 4 cities. Some people need 20,000 to save their daughter from the hospital, and there's no insurance. Some people have to pay 100,000 cities to save their mother, and they don't know in a million years how they're going to make that money. And that person will be so desperate that even if you told him a future full of gold and diamonds and put $10,000, he would choose the $10,000 first and leave the gold and leave the diamonds, because they make these choices out of desperation. But our systems are very bad. It's very poorly structured. You might pay insurance, and the day that your car will really crash in Africa, then the insurance company will start to ask you all sort of questions and try to actually say, oh no, this one doesn't for you. But he's taking your money for more than 10, 12 years. And then maybe that's where your whole capital is. That's what takes you to work. So imagine if something like this happened to someone that has 4 children. I mean, it starts to take public transport from private car back to public transport and start to build up again. Our structures are poor, and we give away everything easily because we don't even have value for our own people. And I'll give you a simple analysis, just so people can understand. Let's take a policeman, for instance. A policeman maybe gains 3,000 cedis a month or 4,000 cedis.
Equivalent to dollars, so people that are watching.
4,000 cedis is about maybe $700 or $600. So let's say this policeman has 4 children and 1 wife. They live in a small bungalow, which is provided by the government, but they have to survive with that $600. They have to pay fees for the kids. They have to pay food, everything for this 4 or 5 people.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the building, they either have to put some money away for their pension, or that 600 is not enough, so they spend it all. But this guy have to work for maybe 30 years of his life as a public servant. And this guy definitely knows that after 30 years, he might not have money saved to buy their own home.
Mm-hmm.
So he's already considered himself that I'm a policeman, but I'm also half hopeless because I don't see where my future will end. And what I have to take care of my family is not enough. Now, this policeman will be forced to take even a bottle of water or pure water sachet as a bribe to convince him, because every little thing counts for them.
Yeah.
You know, the system is choking us. You know, if we are going to change our countries, we need to start to think about how do we build the nation, you know, with a solid foundation. So they don't fall into pieces. They don't sell everything away. They don't betray us. They don't do things. When I look at England, you know, it's not like a policeman might not be corrupt, but what the government is giving them is very difficult for someone from the streets who is doing crime to pay them. They've made their life so better. They're paying for the mortgage. They've given them loans. They're giving them, you know, help them to stand on their feet. This person will never risk that opportunity to take something little from someone to think that they're going to feed it. So these are the problems. It's not like we are giving everything away, but that's the main problem. You know, another thing is, if someone came from outside and came to Ghana, he sees more opportunity than the ones who are already living in Ghana. He sees it clearly. Oh, this is a land. I just need to put a machine, generator. I need to start producing because he has capital.
Yeah.
He's seen the opportunity. But we, up to now, banks don't even give us loans. They don't give the local people loans, but they're quick to take our money. The banks and the churches, they're no different. They both have collection boxes. The church takes the collection for God, but the bank says, come and open an account to put your deposit. I don't have anything for you after. It's the same thing. You know, they don't have loans for our kids. They don't have student loans. It's very bad. So it's another, all these are things that we need to start looking at. That those people who are out there with financial institutions from the diaspora sector should start to think about how we're going to build a continental financial platforms that can support the system. You know, there are 14 French countries that are using one money, CFA, but really the economy is not connected.
Yeah.
So somebody needs to come and sort of put all that together. There are people out there that have contacts that can help. And let's stop depending on IMF and the World Bank to come and do every single thing for us. I think we need to start doing all these things. Yeah, our people are in trouble, and the most are in trouble. The most. The most.
Nana, so one person has asked, Kojo Kwating says, what is your vision for Africa / Ghana over the next decade? What does success look like for the African continent in 2030?
Yes, I believe that from 2020 to 2030, Africans should be able to establish all our industrial platforms. We should move from the mindset of retailers to become industrialists. The greatest people in this world that built their world and built their countries thought like industrialists. You know, you're talking of the Rockefellers, the Andrew Kennegans, all these great people, you know, the Schumann and all these from Singapore and other parts of the world. They all thought like industrialists. We need to start creating industrial platforms. Stop taking the small money that we have in our system and going into other people's country and buying things from them. We need to start to create distribution channels and that we will be able to distribute around Africa. So we don't have to wait for 6 months to get one product to finish our house. So we can build Africa quicker and faster. You know, we need to create technology platforms so we can understand the value of speed. You know, how to move very fast with things and transmit informations and share data and, you know, create that speed within our developments to have efficiency. You know, we need to start to sort of create a great balance between democracy and monarchy. We need to decide that are we going to sit there and watch people with a particular party to just come and rule for 4 years, and about 10 people are fighting them, and so they can't do anything within 4 years, and another one wants to come? Are we going to sit there and watch them fight over the chair? Or are we going to set up the right leaders who can rule over our nations? So they don't come to power and protect their chair. They come to power to protect the nation and build the country. And these people would lose in some of these laws and issues and tax incentives and all these things, and slowly lubricate Africa's vision. So the world will start to see that we have become producers. So we need to start recycling what we have. There's a lot we can sell back to the world. There's so much we have that we can sell back. Even stones are for sale. Everything in this world is for sale. It's how you can manufacture it and produce it and package it. So we need to go into industrialization. We need to build technology. And most of it all, I believe that we're forgetting that we need energy to power all these. But we do have the resources from gas, dams, water, valley, coal, everything. We need to start to use all these things to provide ourselves with energy, and Africa will become the #1 continent.
Absolutely. Nana, somebody has texted me, do you have presidential ambition?
Everybody asks me this, like all of a sudden, people used to ask me when I was young, are you a gangster? and I thought I was so, it's a mentality. I don't currently look at myself going that way, because I feel like it's also one of the hardest jobs to do. You inherit a lot of problems, and you're forced to solve those problems. And if you're not able to do it, they call you a failure. So I don't look like that. However, if it's a calling, if it takes me to stand up for a nation, to stand up for my country, to stand up for my continent, then so be it. I will become it, because everything that I believe that I want to be or I aspire to be, I get it. I get there. It comes with struggles, it comes with dedication, drive, passion, but I can get there if that's what it needs to be. Currently, I feel like it's more important for me to concentrate on creating industrial parks, platforms that will become the hubs. So we need hubs in Africa. And if we can create those hubs, we will start to see how billions work. This could be generating 100 billion within parks, things that are going out and coming in, things that are being manufactured. And then maybe along the way, if we have to really change the constituency or the democratic constitutions that we have to suit the system that we have survived by, then I think that time maybe, it's God's time. But preferably, I would love to be an emperor. You can tell from the way I dress.
Oh, right? Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like that's more like me, I feel like, okay, if I was an emperor and I died, God would be like, well done, my son. When you want to go back to this world again, I'll send you again. Something like that I'm looking at.
Nana, with everything that you do, like, do you get emotional? Do you cry? Like, is there like a time where, because you're fighting for a lot of lives, you're fighting for a lot of people, and so that must be challenging. Does Nana Kwame shed any tears at home in the night? Do you get frustrated?
A lot. And I do everything just like an average person. I am very humble, and sometimes I go really back, down to earth. Like, it's unbelievable. And sometimes I get hurt so much that I have to hide to share my tear. It's not because I don't want people to see, but it's my tear. And sometimes people might look at your weakness and start to exploit on it.
Yeah.
That you're being hurt. But I would rather contain the pain and show the joy, and not show the pain and hide the joy, because then people will think you're down or you're not an achiever or a doer. But I'm just like anybody else. I've been through a lot, and I thank God for taking me through all those lessons because that's what has built me. You know, he doesn't make it easier for me. Like every time I cross a river, I meet a sea. Every
Wow.
time I swim an ocean, I meet the land. And when I'm about to jump onto the land, I realize that, oh no, it's full of crocodiles. I'll be the only food there. So I have to jump back in the water and swim again. So
Mm.
I've been floating a lot and I've been through a lot of pain. But it's going to take some time for the world to understand truly who I am. Like even Jesus Christ, his story was so interesting, but no one saw it until he was 30. And it only took 3 years for people to see, that greatness that God had ordained him to to be a part of this world and to show this world. So I feel like there's more greatness in me that is yet to reveal itself to the world. And God is still in control. And me, I am holding on tight. So he knows I've been chosen. I'm ordained. I'm anointed
Mm.
and appointed. And I will tell you that I will not fail you. The fear of
Absolutely.
death does not scare me. But life having value is what really brings me joy. I am not going anywhere. I'm with you.
Wow. Nana, what does the 12 tribe of Judah mean to you? You often say, what does it mean to you?
So basically, David was chosen as a king and he was underestimated and underrated. And he was the last person they thought he could be a king. But before that, that whole nation was splitted apart. The nation that Moses brought all the way from Egypt was spread apart.
Mm.
But when David became a king, he fought to bring it all together. I feel this spirit in me.
Mm.
I feel like Africa is still segregated within 12 families, 12 nations, and it's
Wow.
also been betrayed by 12 apostles. So
Mm.
Jacob, representing Israel, which is the 12 tribes of Judah, means a lot to me. And that's where I see myself. I see myself like I am in the midst of shambles on a land in Africa that if I were to take it back 2,000 years ago, it would be Israel.
Wow. Deep. Tale, today you're dropping nuggets. People are saying Dental, he's dropping, people have got pen and papers writing things down as you speak. And one of
Oh,
the things that you always say, Nana, one of the things that you always say is that don't tell your dreams, live your dreams.
yeah.
Why? I mean, it's hard to live your dreams though sometimes. I mean, how do you live your dreams?
You know, the people that woke up this morning and still found themselves sleeping are the ones who are still dreaming. The people that got up this morning and went out there to chase their dreams are the ones who are seeing the reality of their dreams.
Mm.
And a lot of people like to tell their dreams. You shouldn't.
Okay.
Even Joseph, with all his blessing, when he told his dream, his destiny was changed. So a lot of people don't want you to be who you think you're going to be.
Mm.
So you just don't share your dreams with them. And my friends will tell you, they will all be my friends, and they hear me say so much about what I'm doing. But before they know, the next move is bigger than what I'm doing.
Mm.
That's how I live my dreams.
Wow.
I don't tell it.
You're amazing. Nana, so the New Africa Foundation was founded
Yeah.
in 2014.
Yeah.
Tell us about some of the things that you have been able to do so far.
Well, so the New Africa Foundation, basically, I got inspired by a little kid that I met in Mali.
Mm-hmm.
And the story of that kid really touched my heart. And when I decided to go deeper into it, I realized that there were millions of kids like him. And so
What did he do that made he touch your heart? What did he do?
well, his father was okay. His mother was very poor, and his father died. But when his father died, his mother was still there. It's just that I think he's Muslim, and they had some rules or something. He had to go to his grandmother, and then he ended up with this kids, a bunch of kids, And that particular kid had 3 different diseases. He needed help. Nobody could help him, so I decided to pay for his operation, which cost me about $18,000.
Wow.
And he survived. And when he survived, I asked him a question and he answered, but he smiled. When he smiled, something lit up in my life. I was like, wow, this is so great. This guy would have been gone. So the fact that he came back to answer a question for me and smiled, I decided to look into kids that were in that kind of situation to help them.
Okay.
And then I ended up, feeding like 1,000 kids at the time. When I found out more, then it grew to 10,000. And I started from Mali. So I decided to find out how Mali became what it was based on what it used to be. And that's when I found out about Mansa Musa. A lot about Mansa Musa, and he inspired me. His story was just like in Solomon. So I started like, following everything that he did, build up on his spirit and how he gave and how he cared for the entire Africa. So this whole thing started from there and came from, and I went to Nigeria and I did the same thing. So the New Africa Foundation started growing. A lot of people were getting in touch with me from different, homes and stuff like that. And everybody wanted to kind of publish it, like the kind of things I do, but I was not interested. And it started growing, and then even more so, New Africa Foundation, like in my church and stuff, I started putting some of the things that I wanted to give to churches, towards churches. So like 10% of my wealth. And I realized that it buys a whole university. I'll buy a university for a church and I'll keep quiet, which was over millions. And God would say to me, if any kid has your heart and as strong and as powerful as you will find another one of you, because I have a heart to give. I don't want sometimes to be even mentioned. And I feel like that's the power that I have over people. They might see my faults or they might see things that is wrong with me. I don't see anything wrong with them. But then one thing I have over them is what I can give, they can't give it. So that's the only difference. And New Africa Foundation was built this way, and then slowly when it started to impact a lot more people, once I got a phone call from someone in UN, because I wrote to UN a letter when I went to Liberia to do something, and then I didn't get a light, and they were the only people that could give me a generator. And, very heartfelt letter I wrote to them.
Wow.
My number, but they called me and said, oh, they wanted to be part of what I was doing, in Africa. And I said, I'll think about it. But I went home and prayed about it, and something said, no, just concentrate on New Africa Foundation to build a foundation for your nation, for your continent, so they can understand the power of giving to their own and building their own. And one day the benefits will be so huge. And so I kept doing it. And finally, the freedom movement came out of the New Africa Foundation. So I discovered that, okay, at some point, I wanted to see where to put some of my investments after I went into industrialization, development, residential, commercial. So I decided to go into movement, and started studying about movement. And I realized that, there were the 3 R's of movement. So I went for all the 3. I had to choose one. There's redemptive movement, there is the reformative movement, and the revolutionary movement. So revolutionary was someone like Martin Luther. The art of acting for a whole society. Reformative is like targeted to a particular sector of a nation. So it's like Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam. Okay. And, redemptive is more like, no trace of wealth, no sign of anything. You just move with the crowd, and people follow you. And that was Gandhi. So I liked all the 3, so I put all the 3.
Put all of them together.
Yes, and then we started the freedom movement. So the New Africa Foundation gave birth to the freedom movement.
And can people join the freedom movement? How can people join the freedom movement?
At this very point, it's not like an establishment. Okay. And we don't want to start it like that.
Okay.
We don't want people to feel like, okay, I've joined an Islam, so I'm one. We want people to understand that freedom is a free will to acquire something. And we are claiming Africa. So people that believe in this movement, they just need to support us spiritually, mentally, and physically. Like, yes, I support the movement. And that alone is a great push for us. that people believe that we can make that change. We can add value to our people and we can change Africa. Just that belief is good enough. There's going to be a time that people will be fully dedicated to the movement and say, look, whether I get paid or don't get paid, I will walk or I'll travel or I'll drive my own car to go and share the word and make sure that the world is part of this. There's going to be that time. But, as from the start, freedom movement is free to join.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to know, what type of books are you reading? Like, we want to delve into like your thoughts, your thought process. What books are you reading?
I read all type of books. I mean, some of my favorite books, you'd be surprised, was Michael Jackson. And even I read a book, Adolf Hitler. I wanted to know why he was so evil to the world. And it was quite interesting. I read all sort of books. I've read Essentialism, but I don't think it's only to do with books, because people shouldn't just depend on academic knowledge. They should also depend on spiritual wisdom, natural wisdom. They should learn from nature. They should learn from culture. They should learn from their own systems, their own economy. One thing that people should always remember is that you can never learn to be like the best, because the best will never want you to be like them. He protects his number one position. But you can just learn from the worst and decide not to repeat their mistake. That alone is a great strength to start with. And this is something that you can learn from nature, which will become your shield. And you can also learn from what people need as the public. How can I help the public to sustain their demands? How can I be a part of the national demands? How can I supply something to them? These things they don't teach us in school. You're not going to have a dictionary that tells you how rich means and how to become like one. They're not going to teach you in school to become rich. They're going to teach you in school to get a good grade so you can get a job for someone else's organization or institution. But God gives you this wisdom if you decide to appreciate what you came to meet on this earth. The trees, the plants, the animals, the humans, the creatures, and everything that is on earth. I think people should study about it. They shouldn't just depend everything on books. It's good to have a bit of academic knowledge, but you shouldn't be full of it. It doesn't pay you 100%. Sometimes it makes your life become like a movie.
Wow. But Nana, we are looking forward to your book, though. We want to read, I personally want to read that book first before it's published. And so you have to give me that book before it comes out.
Sure. It's all in the pipeline. My book is called One Way In, One Way Out.
Wow.
And then the second book after that called The Emperor, The Art of Ruling. Wow. The first book tells you about my life in the past, my life present, and a bit of going into the future. The second book tells you what I will be in future as a prophecy, and you will live to witness that. And that is also going to come with a movie, but not because I am chasing the money for these things. I don't need the money. I am doing this because I want the world, especially Africans, the youth, to share my experience, my knowledge, my wisdom, my secrets, what has made me come this far, what has made me won the battles that a lot of people failed and lost. I want people to be able to get that code and make yourself become successful, make yourself become happy, make yourself become more powerful. And I feel like it also gives me the chance to break into the Hollywood market, the American market, and open the door so Africans can enter. I have AMF, which is African Media Fund, and we're going to be funding the second movie, which will be coming from the story of Gaddafi. There is one that is going to be about Aliko Dangote. We have great people. We have the Yas Antois and the Kwame Nkrumahs. How AOU came together and how it was sort of dismantled by the Europeans. That's the new stories that the world needs to find out about our history. And I think I'm about to open that door, but I'm starting with One Way In, One Way Out.
So it's the same. So basically, like the same door you used to go in, you used to go out.
That's right? What life. That's what life is. We somehow got created by going one way in, one way out, one way in, one way out. And we woke up every day, one way in, one way out, one way in, and just how we came in, we went out on the ground. So that in between the one ways is where you capitalize on your experience, the lessons, the people you meet, the creation of God, the beauty of life. You know, it's like this. You can't miss it. And so if you become a part of it, you have to make the best of it.
Absolutely. Nana, do you do mentorship? Do you mentor people? Are you instilling these things in the youth?
Yes, I do it sometimes for free because I feel like I just want to share my knowledge. But I believe that my management team, it's building the character freedom with the Freedom Channel, so we can get to the millions and hopefully one day to billions of people. You know, and that's why my book, my movie, all these things are in the pipeline. You know, I chose not to be a rapper or a musician or a footballer because my dreams went beyond that. You know, I wanted to impact the world. You know, I wanted to be one of the people that left a legacy that is not just about me scoring goals or being the best footballer or being the best musician, but I wanted to be one of the best humanitarian. You know, came and saw and conquer and left so much behind that a nation arise, not one man, but an entire nation arise. That's my vision. That's my destiny. That's where I'm going.
Wow. Nana, do you ever see the continent just having one president, and do you think it's a good idea to have that?
No, I don't think so. You know, presidents are unprecedented. You know, they are somehow groomed and, you know, sort of built. So, you know, to lead an entire continent, I don't think so. It could be us thinking of, first of all, building a sector like West Africa, which I believe that's what Kwame Nkrumah was trying to do. So he can lead a few countries. And that's what I plan. That if I get the chance to be a president, I'd rather go for 3 countries at the same time and surprise the world. Like, wow, this never happened. This guy's a breaking rules of democracy. What is it now?
Wow.
You know, something like that. Because you want to be able to show them that, okay, you took 3 countries, you put it together. Now you have the most steel, you have the most iron ore, you have the most oil, the most gold, and you're refining them and trading them globally. And you've built these 3 countries in a space of 5 years, which means the other African countries would have to come under the same umbrella to do the same, because you would have been a template for them that this is the way to go. So I feel like, yes, we need to have a few countries come together from a sector of Africa, like West Africa, you know, and then we prove to them that, okay, this is the way to go. And it helps us. It helps our people. It helps our country. It doesn't just help the chairs that we're sitting on, the positions that we're holding. It actually helps the entire country, the people, the public, the nation. And people will jump and follow the same thing. Because even our presidents, as much as they put them in that position, they feel so sorry for themselves that they had a good intention for Africa, or they had a good intention for their country. But as they sat on that chair, everything turned around because they inherited all the problems that one cannot bear. But no one tells you before they inherit it, you know? And I think that we should start from a few countries. We should aim at West Africa because the mentality of West Africans is also completely different from North Africans or East Africans. But it doesn't mean that we're any different as a continent. We can only adapt if there is the right examples, you know? So just as much as the colonial masters were adapting to colonize countries when they came, like different countries, and putting them together, that's the same thing we have to do. We have to start to put our countries together. And even it takes us to think like colonial masters. You know, if we are blacks and we're colonial on our own blacks, fine. That's not a bad case than somebody else coming to colonize us. And then use their own strategy to beat the game, because they would have not survived if they picked only one country. They had 14 countries, you know, The French people colonized 14 countries. The English people colonized 20-something countries. You know, the Arabs were colonized. And so, you know, that's the same way that we need to start going. We need to also start to take over countries, put them together, put their resources together, and have some capital and just go.
Now, what about the language barrier? I mean, even if you go to our, you know, left, we have, you know, Ivory Coast and they speak French. I mean, there's even in Ghana, we have so many languages. What about language?
So it's a big mistake that they introduced technology. Right now, there's no more barrier. Technology has removed the barrier because translation has become easier. And then we also have one formal language, which is like English. Second to English is probably French. These two languages, if you're going to use them, you would get your message heard by a lot of people. And the only thing that will make them feel broken, if we're able to recolonize ourselves, they're going to see that, oh, they used our own language to address themselves, to be able to get themselves out of the mess that they're in. You know, because you can't use any other dialect. There's so many of them. Now they splitted us up. We're segregated. It's like one country has maybe 40 dialects. It's like you can't speak in different languages to get to these people. But you find one formal English or even broken English, and you have half Americans understanding you already. And we have to just the same strategy that dehumanized us, that separated us, that same strategy we should use to unite us, to build us. It's one way in, one way out.
Oh, I'm waiting for this book. Now we're getting the book this year. 2020?
2020, yeah.
2020, June, August.
Corona vibe goes, you know, because I'm doing something to clear it. I believe that, you know, first of all, the freedom movement wants the entire Asia, China, to write an apology letter to Black people and Africans. And they have to do it. And if they don't do it now, I will let them do it anytime soon myself. If my leaders, if my people don't stand up and push that agenda, we have to let someone say sorry to us. We have to let the world understand that we deserve an apology. And, you know, that would be a beginning factor of us demanding our proceeds and what we need to bring our hopes and our values back. And I'm sure by the time the corona also clears up a bit, we will be going into another world where there are the prophecies of people coming back to Africa, running back to Africa, as we're saying, and start building all these platforms and, you know, creating global wealth. It will be the right time to also drop the book.
Definitely.
So the time is very important. The book is, don't worry, is ready. It just needs to be, you know, polished up and everything, and find the right time to drop it. You know, I don't expect people to read much about my life story right now when they have to sit behind television and computer trying to find 18 ways to protect yourself from corona. So let's first of all find solutions out of this mess, you know, that they have put us in. And
somebody's written, America never formally apologized for slavery.
Well, it has to start from somewhere. You know, like I said, there is going to be some leaders that will come after this, or probably, you know, around our time, and will demand that. Because they will capture everything that they did. They will give them the proof. They will give them the truth. And they will let the world see it. They will publicize it on the biggest media platforms because they have access. They have what it takes. They can afford to pay. They can afford to do anything to be on those platforms. And the world would see that, no, this was not right. You know, I remember when I was watching the speech of Martin Luther. His speech was not as powerful as the people around him. The people that stood behind him made every word made sense. Because then you start to think, if not, then why are they there? So we need that support. We need that claiming value back, you know, and all these things. We need it. We really need it. It's very important. It's very, and now I'm urging anyone that's listening that, yes, post that video around. Let's make as much noise to demand our letter, our apology from the Chinese. We contribute to their social, global, economical factor. we actually contribute to the world's success. We have some of the best athletes. The fastest man in the world is black man. The best musician ever in the world is black man. The most patient leader ever is Nelson Mandela. You know, we have titles, we have credentials, we have so much. Why would we just sit down and let one country start to defeat a whole race and a whole nation by kicking us around because we think no one can stand up and speak? That we should demand. And I'm urging all of you who are listening to me that not just to support the freedom movement, but support the movement of us claiming our rights, our civil human rights back from these people. And an apology will be good enough.
Absolutely, Nana. Nana, I want you to, you know, for the youth, 3 things, advices that you're going to give the youth of Africa.
Sorry, say that again.
3 advice that you would give the youth of Africa.
Sure. The first thing is for them to believe in their color, accept their race, and accept their situation. All these 3 things is in one. They need to accept the situation, believe in it. Yes, because a lot of people are refusing to accept the situation. The situation is the fact of the matter. And the fact of the matter is the subject. It's current. It's not changed. We have to understand that we're poor. We have to understand that our economy is bad. We have to understand that some of our leaders are not advanced enough to lead our countries to where we want to be. We have to accept that we are being used by other parts of the world. You know, we have to start accepting all that and take a decision what we're going to do going forward. That's one. And 2, where you're coming from as an African, whether your mother is poor or your father is rich, whether you have been devalued or underestimated or underrated, that shouldn't be a problem for you. That should be a motivation for you. That should let you know that you have some work to do to change that perception. That alone is a big drive to take you somewhere. And then the last one, which should have also been part of the first one for me, is that why would we destroy what we have helped build? We've become many by multiplying ourselves through ourselves. Our wives are blacks, our children are blacks. So we have built a nation, a society, but we haven't built a system around it. So every young person who is coming up should start to think how they're going to build a system around it. Because when I lived in England, I looked at a system in my neighborhoods, how I can survive, how I can trade, how I can do things. When I was 16, 17, I started reading maps. I was interested to know what is between the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean, you know, and I wanted to see, and I understood logistics and other things. So my mind was growing, my head was opening, because I looked out for the nation, I looked out for the community, and I think that's the last thing I want them to have, that they're responsible for their own people, where they're coming from. So they should start to build a world around them. That's what would motivate them to become entrepreneurs, leaders, great thinkers, and great people.
Absolutely. And lastly, for us in the diaspora, what 3 things or 3 advices would you say to us?
First of all, I think the diaspora
think I'm losing Nana. Obviously, it's been a great...
Are you there?
Nana, I'm here. Yes.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Man, I've never had an interview this long, but it's good. You've asked me the greatest questions. I love you for this, Denta. You know, you don't really ask me this question, but you catch me every day. But you've got the best out of me.
2 hours. I've got 2 hours
yes,
of
you're
time.
talking about diaspora?
Yeah.
Are you there?
I'm here, Nana.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Okay, so first of all, I think that diaspora is more enlightened. They're more open to the world, but at the same time, I don't think they've ever gathered all the efforts together,
Okay.
or sort of consolidate it and push it to a force, or push it to a cause, or push it to a nation. You
Okay.
know, I think it's something that, you know, that recognition should start to fall in between diasporas. They should see themselves as foreigners and visitors who have decided to come together to form a society, to build
Okay.
their nation. I
Okay.
think that could be a start of a great cause. You
Okay.
know, when people in America and London and Holland and Germany and all this and decide that no, we have to create some sort of conglomerate and we have to help Africa as a whole. It should be an
Okay.
agenda, you
Mhm.
know, and it's probably the same that maybe some group have done for the West Indies or some other parts of the world. But we should do that because a lot of the successful people and countries in this world, you see that they send their kids out there to learn how the other worlds were built and come back and do the same thing for them. They don't let them stay there forever. You have to come
Mhm.
back. So it's
Yeah.
about time. I feel like the diaspora should feel like, you know, they've been exiles for too long. You know, they need to start to feel like I need to come out of an exile. Not to say that move from America or England straight to Africa, you know, it's not also going to be fair. But if everybody comes together and have one purpose as an agenda and start to help the entire continent with, I think the movement, the force will be felt. The second thing is that a lot of diasporas are coming for visits more than establishment.
Okay.
You know, they just come to Africa, they come to the countries, they see our problems, they can even tell it better, but they also don't come with a solution. They don't, you know, but they have the skills, they have what it takes. You know, I know it's hard to say this, but I'm saying it politely, so you know, no one gets offended.
Yeah.
But I feel like, you know, the visits are a lot more. We should
Yeah.
rather, you know, start to think of, you know, coming to get some things established or coming to create something that, you know, brings a penetration, something that it's
Mm.
some action, something that, you know, is exceptional.
Yeah.
The last one,
Mm-hmm.
last prize is that I think they are representing the world because they have learned from the best part of the world. They know their systems already. They have lived in the systems. So they should also become a part of our leaderships. They shouldn't leave it in the hands of just, you know, the locals or just Africans. You know, they should play a role so they can actually institutionalize what they have witnessed and what experience and organizations that they've worked for and how it's been done. You know, I think I like the that's the third one, but I think I like the lady that you interviewed recently, Dr. Arikana.
Africana. Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
I watched one of her interviews and I was
Yeah.
impressed. You know,
No,
so
I'm glad. I'm so glad you've mentioned that. We have had over 1.2 million watch time in minutes, right? And we've had over what 70,000 people watch the interview. Now she said that she wants people who are interested to just sign up. Go to the website. We sent out a survey monkey. We've had what over 2,000 comments or so, and only 175 people signed up. Out of the 2,000 people that commented, yeah, like they're saying now, they're commenting, yes, Nana Kwame, freedom movement, we're with you. But then nobody wants to sign up or wants to commit to it. And I think this is the issue that we have. We say, yes, the time is now. And then when you put something out there and you want people to support you, I remember we did a British Airways campaign when, British Airways has given us old planes. We did a campaign as Goober to get people to sign up. And nobody was signing up.
yeah.
Like, we say it, but we don't action, Nana.
So that's what I meant by, freedom movement doesn't really want people to commit, because I don't want any sort of controversial terms and conditions. I just want a free spirit, and I'm not holding you, and you're not holding me responsible for anything. I haven't signed you. It's a free spirit and a free will that you're being a part of. I chose to do that because I realized that that is the common African's character, and it's always intelligent. It makes more sense to do things according to how people are, not according to what you want to do. You have to tailor it to suit the people. Africans are not people that you want them to commit to everything, because they'll come back with a lot of demands. And I don't think this is something that we're asking people to commit right now. We want people to hear and stand up. They should voice out. They should have a spirit of changing their world. They should have the hope of making their countries become better. They should have the value of making their color being respected one day. And that also costs you 0% to feel like this. Nobody's going to charge you for that. It's free. You just need to empower yourself, empower your own spirit, and move ahead. But like I was saying about the woman, it's just that, she got expelled from one organization and decided to stand up and talk. But that's what we kind of need right now. A lot of people, when the other people turn their back on you, don't be scared. Yes, you turn your back on me, I turn my back on you. Okay, what you didn't do right, I'm gonna say it, because you are saying what I didn't do right. That's why you've expelled me. That's why you've terminated me. Okay, fine. Let me also talk about what you didn't do right, so it becomes fair. And I think it's better than us trying to commit ourselves to something that we might come back and say we didn't, or we did, or this, or I didn't want to. We should just stand up. It's only a few of us, and we need more people like that.
Absolutely. Nana, I just can't thank you enough for, being with me for 2 hours.
Oh my gosh, this is the longest interview.
The longest time. But, it's been one of those conversations where you don't even see the time, because it's real talk. And it's your passion. It's the person who you are, the person I've known for many years. I respect you a lot. I thank you for being an inspiration to the youth, being an inspiration for Africa and Africans. And we are going to be praying for you.
Thank you.
To make sure that everything that you have set out to do, you'll be able to achieve it.
Thank you.
But thank you so much. We are going to have our proper interview, Nana. This is just by the way, COVID-19 interview. So we're gonna have our proper one in Ghana when I come home, and and take a look at the #1 Oxford Street, all the amazing things that you are, the image, the positive image that you're putting out there for Africa. And we really appreciate you. There's so many questions. People, I can't go through it because it's a lot. I've gotten so many questions, but it's a lot. Otherwise, we'll be here for the next 4 hours.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether you want to say any last words, but I'm going to give out your website details, and people are asking me, and your Instagram details. I'm going to share it with them. But thank you. Thank you so much, Nana.
Thank you. So my Instagram is I am freedom. A little bit of controversy, a little bit of culture, a little bit of movement, but more so, you have the strongest quotes, that the smartest ones that are listening to me in words are probably forming a book of quotes. Wow. That's going to make some time. So might not see where the catch is, but those who have the eyes to see, they see. The ears to hear, let them hear. I love you all. I love you, Deta. You're a great woman. And I pray that you become one of the greatest women in Africa. God will bless you, and through you, many people will hear people's voices, and
Amen.
Honor people, you've honored people, you've rewarded people, you put your heart out there, and I believe that if we had a lot like you, there will be a change. So I pray that all the kids out there should look at you, let them become a mother, let them become a wife, let them become a girl, a woman, and someone that actually impacts society like yourself. I appreciate you very much. God bless you, and God bless you.
God bless you, Nana. Thank you so much for your time. And I will see you in Ghana once the borders open.
Thank you.
Bye, Nana. Wow. What an interview. I know you've been inspired. I know you're ready for that book. What an inspiration. I am just speechless. We've had so many people that have tuned in. It's incredible. But guys, please, if you are on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, share this interview, let people be blessed by this interview as well, because I know you guys are putting fire, you're saying blessing, but make sure that it blesses somebody else. Please subscribe to the YouTube. Please follow me on Facebook. My Instagram is denta_show. So is my Twitter. Lastly, before I go, the embassy in the USA are doing Ghana Unites. So they're doing a virtual concert to raise money for COVID-19. There's been a lot of Ghanaians who have lost their lives in America. And so they're doing a concert which features Sonny Badu, Joe Metal, Ochame Kwame, Bisakedi, Emmanuel Smith, amongst others. It's going to be live tomorrow on GH1, 7:30 p.m. Ghana time and 8:30 p.m. in the UK, and 3:30 p.m. in America. Let's all support. Let's all raise that money to support families and Ghanaians who have lost their lives. Guys, again, if you are in Ghana, if you're in the UK and you are trying to send money to somebody in Ghana, use Tap Tap Send. It's the efficient way to send money. And if you use my name, Denta, you will get £5 extra to send to a loved one. I say good night. God bless you all. And keep sharing, keep liking, keep subscribing, keep following. And I'll see you next time. Same place, next time, next week. We're going to be talking about agriculture again. I've had a few DMs. People were asking me, Dental, what is the actual process of setting up an agriculture farm in Ghana? So we will be doing that. And also the Goober Careers are holding a diaspora transition, which will have Yofi Grant, who is the CEO of Ghana Investment Council promotion. And we'll have, GIPC, and we have Lands Commission. So all your lands issues that you're having in Ghana, he will be explaining it. And then we'll have an entrepreneur who's also going to speak. So I will see you next week, Thursday, live on Ordana Network or Facebook. Thank you so much. God bless and good night.